Ladies and gentlemen. Higher. Ladies and gentlemen, can you please make your way down to the event? The booth should be closed and everyone should be joining us down here for the panel. We're excited to see everyone. I know it'll take people a minute, but thank you so much for being here. Welcome everybody to our 9th annual Snohomish County Overdose Awareness Day event. Time to remember, wait a minute, I always mess this up. A night to remember, a time to act. Clap. We are glad to be here with all of you today and sharing this space together as we once again take a moment to remember those we've lost to overdose and to also think of those that we know that are still out there struggling, as well as to honor and celebrate those who are in recovery actively fighting for their lives. Thank you. Really quickly before we get started, I just wanted to say a couple of thank yous, and then I'm going to introduce these two powerful mothers next to me. A couple of thank yous. So first of all, we are so thankful that the county of Snohomish has partnered with us for the last 9 years, not only for providing this space to us, but we have a person on deck that is helping assist us with day of needs from facilities. We have a lot of help that has happened up to this event, and we are so grateful to every single person and all of the staff that has helped put this together year after year after year. So please give them a round of applause. The second thing I wanted to really quickly mention before I continue with my thank yous is if anybody here is struggling tonight, if you are struggling here tonight with addiction or alcoholism, we do have people here that can take you immediately to detox. If that is you, please, let's see, where would we have you go? Where is my Courage to Change people? Okay, so if you guys see the booth that says Courage to Change Recovery, let's have you go there. If you are in need of assistance tonight, we will get you the help that you need, and we are glad that you are here. Couple of honorable mentions. We're happy to see a couple of people from our county government and our city government and our wonderful law enforcement. I just wanted to honor all of you tonight. We are so glad that you're here to support this cause and this mission. This is very important. The opioid crisis has only continued to get worse every year, which is why the event has evolved so much. And we are grateful for your presence. So I want to say thank you to Judge Joe Wilson, Judge Karen Moore, Mayor Cassie Franklin, all of the law enforcement I see Chief of Police from City of Everett. I see my boys in blue up there. Thank you so much for being here. If anybody I missed, thank you so much for being here. Really, really appreciate you so much. And also, last but not least, please give a huge round of applause to all of the organizations that have come together tonight to provide you support and services. Well, I'm thankful for these two women right here. I have had the privilege of knowing them for the past 9 years. Debbie and I spoke on a panel together, and then I met Kathy subsequently after at another event about recovery. Their stories are very powerful. They are here as two mothers, two warriors that have had deep loss and grief, and they have decided to do something about it. And so my goal this whole 9 years has been to amplify their voices and their stories so that other mothers and other parents and other families know that they are not alone and there is help for you. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Debbie Warfield and Kathy Lee.
Thank you. And I just want to add one more thank you to Lindsay. Lindsay. She's kind of spearheaded this whole evening tonight. And she has done a lot of work to get our panel together and just to keep everything going. So
Hold it right to your lips almost.
okay. So anyway, so thanks to Lindsay. And once again, my name is Debbie Warfield, and I am the mother of Spencer, who died from an overdose about 13 years ago. And it was something that we would have never imagined that would happen to someone in our family. And we felt really alone and wasn't aware of many resources. And to be truthful, we really didn't want to share it. You know, we were still in that stigma era that, you know, people would look at us like we'd done something wrong or he'd done something wrong. And after doing a few panels with the Snohomish Health District, I met Kathy Lee. There was an article in the Everett Herald, and she had lost her son, Corey. And it happened that she was very close to us in the neighborhood that we lived in. And we ran into each other at one of the events, got together and decided that we needed to do something. You know, we just kept hearing about homeless people on the streets, and we wanted people to know that there were people addicted living with their families, and they were basically in the same situation, except for they were housed and the people homeless weren't, but they had all the same problems. And it was very hard to get any resources or any help from professionals, medical people. So that's how this A Night to Remember, A Time to Act started. And I'm happy that I ran into Kathy. And so we're hoping for next year will be our 10th year, and we're hoping to do a big event that time. And we really hope that we see more progress in this coming year, because if we're doing it for 9 years, we feel like there is still a lot of room to make improvements. So anyway, thank you for being here.
Good evening, everyone. As Debbie has said, I'm Kathy Lee, and I lost my son, still hard, 10 years later. Passed away December 8th, 2015, while he was in college, in his college dorm room. He was only 20 years old, and because it was such a public death, it was even harder. We had kept that secret for 4 years, and only a few people in our family and close friends even knew that he had a problem. As Debbie said, the misconceptions, the negative stigma, and the stereotypes for addiction was ingrained in our family and our community. And as a result, we kept that secret fiercely guarded. As Debbie said, a few months after our devastating loss, I met Debbie and Lindsay. I don't know how I was able to even go talk to them without bawling, but they were both very supportive. We never imagined 9 years ago that substance abuse and addiction would remain such a complicated, hot button, and pressing issue for this long.
Tonight, we will be discussing the very hot topic of housing. Specifically, we are going to talk about recovery and sober living options. We are honored that all of you tonight have decided to hear another conversation that will educate, advocate, and honor those struggling in recovery and the loved ones impacted by substance abuse and addiction.
Before I bring our panel up here, I just wanted to take a moment to do a moment of silence. God, I wish I wouldn't have said that twice. Dang it! Moment of silence where we remember those. Can you guys hear me? Okay. I should have just yelled it. We're going to take a moment of silence to remember those that we've lost to overdoses, those who are still struggling, and the child who has no choice. So would you join me in 30 seconds of a moment of silence, please? And now the serenity prayer for those who'd like to join. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Judy, would you raise your hand really quick? Judy Hoff of the Hoff Foundation and Esther's Place is here. I just wanted to point her out. If there is anybody who is hurting tonight and you need to be loved on, please go and see her. This woman has been a godsend in my own life. She married my husband and I, and she is a literal angel. And so if you need somebody to love on you tonight, if you are in pain, if you are hurting, if you are broken, she's your girl. I just wanted to call that out. Now I'd like to welcome our panel. Chrissy, Amy, Taylor, Wendy, and Jeffrey. Did I get everybody? Okay. Please welcome them to the stage. Yes. Just going to take a minute to put our little candles on, set the mood. So I'm going to allow each panelist to introduce themselves to you, their name, why they're here, and what their experience is and who they are and how it relates to recovery housing. This is an important topic. A lot of people that are here in recovery know what a catalyst recovery housing can be as a stepping stone to having a sustained recovery journey. And so we are going to hear from individuals here who have to do with recovery housing, with the exception of two individuals who utilize recovery housing, but they are providers in another sense, but they have a unique perspective on recovery housing that I think is very important for us all to hear. So let's go ahead and start with Jeffrey, and then we'll work our way around this way to Taylor.
Hi there, everybody. How are we tonight? Excellent. I love that. Join us in recovery. So, my name is Jeff Godfrey. I'm a nurse practitioner with Conquer Clinics.
Hold it up to my mouth. But wait, there's more.
If you order now. So anyway, I believe that recovery should be fun. It should be without stigma. Stigma kills. And so tonight, I just want to support everybody here, take questions, and kind of plan a dream about wraparound supportive housing with MAT, with learning, with joy.
My name's Christina Anderson, and I am the Vice President of Courage to Change Recovery Services with Mike Kiersey over here, our Cape Crusader. I run Nick's Place, which is an emergency recovery shelter at the corner of Hewitt and Maple. It's 16 clients and 2 on-site managers.
Hi, I'm Wendy Eisman. I am here because I lost my son Patrick last December 7th. He was 31 years old to a fentanyl overdose after 14 months of being 100% in recovery. I also, by a weird coincidence with my husband, used to own a lot more recovery housing. We have just one house now. And I look at it completely differently than I used to.
Hello, my name is Amy Wheat. I'm the opioid outreach specialist with Snohomish County Human Services. I'm part of the Scout team, also known as the Office of Neighborhoods. We're embedded with local police departments and the sheriff's office. I have a caseload, work with individuals, starting with getting into treatment and then all the way through housing. Thanks.
Hi, my name's Taylor Madison. I am a woman and mother in recovery, and I've spent the last 3.5 years in sober living.
All right, we're going to get started. We're actually going, instead of bouncing around, we're going to keep it really fluid so that it's easy to pay attention to. So we're going to start with Wendy. Just a reminder to all panelists, I'm loud and some of you are not, and that is okay. Hold the microphone as close to your lips as you can, and speak as loudly as you can without screaming, and that will make it so the people at the top can hear you. All right. So, thank you, Wendy, for coming. What have been your biggest challenges starting or running a sober living home?
I feel like my husband John should be up here because he really is the one that has done the majority of it. I've been involved with it really heavily for the last probably 10 years. The biggest thing is fear that we're going to lose one of our tenants. And that fear actually happened to us about 4 years ago. We had a tenant that was in drug court. He couldn't make it to that very last, whatever they do, whether they do blood, I'm not sure what it was. But he couldn't get there in time. He was stuck in traffic. He knew he was going to be in trouble. There was going to be an issue. But regardless, he got there. It was too late. They said, we're going to need you to come back. They gave him a different court date. And when he went back, they said, we're giving you a couple weeks to get your affairs in order, and you're going to have to serve 8 months in jail. That's just because he was a little bit late for this program to get whatever tested. And I think it was 2 days later, he went out and he got drugs and he died in one of our rooms in our home, in the house that he lived in. And I can't tell you how devastated that we were. And we felt at that point in time, things were a lot different than they are now, because I've seen it from all angles now. It took 3 hours for the police to get there because I'm sure they felt that, he's gone. We understand. We're trying as quickly. We're going to get there as quickly as we can. But it just seemed like the night just went on forever. And after that, we still completely are involved and we support anything to do with the housing, but that is our biggest fear, and it happened. And I can't tell you how devastating it is. And after that, in one of our other houses, very recently, this was about 2 years ago, there was a tenant there that just was kind of causing problems and fighting with people and the kind of things we deal with a lot. And we had to ask him to leave, and he died about 2 weeks later. They found him down in front of a store just outside of Mukilteo. So that's my biggest fear, is losing someone, because we don't want to lose any of them.
One more question for you.
Yeah.
You shared with us that you lost your son to an overdose after his time in recovery. If you could point to one change or improvement, we all know hindsight's 2020, got lots of those, to improve in sober living that might have set him up for better success, what would you say?
This is a really easy question for me to answer. More time. When he came out, he was in rehab 3 times, which I guess is not that many from what I've learned in the last year. But when he came out of the rehab the 3rd time, he went straight into an Oxford house. He lived up in Marysville. I don't know if any of the people here are from there. If you are, hello. And he was happy there. But he really wanted to be in the one in Edmonds, which is the original Oxford house that was like, I think they went to the Court of Appeals or something with their lawsuit to make it so that you could have the people living there. And he moved in there, and about the same time, or maybe a few months later, one of his lifelong friends, he and his fiance bought their first house. And he had about 10 years in recovery, and he asked Patrick, hey, do you want to move in with us? You can rent a room from us. And my son was kind of, by then, he'd been in there for about 9 months in the Oxford house. He was getting kind of frustrated with, somebody being in the restroom when he wanted to go take a shower and he had to get to work or whatever. It's stupid stuff. But he was anxious to move out of it, and we felt it was a little too soon, but we also thought, you're 31 years old, it's your decision. And so he moved into that house on October 1st, and he died on December 7th. And when he came home from work that night before we found him, the 2 people he lived with, which was his dear friend and his fiance, they both said it was like any other night. There's no reason why they would have went and knocked on his door. There was just nothing that would have ever tripped them up to think, wow, this doesn't seem normal. So that is my very easy, quick answer. He needed to be in that Oxford house longer. They recommend at least a year. I think he probably would have been better with a year and a half. And I kind of feel like there's maybe they maybe are given a little bit too much autonomy before they're ready. I just don't think he was ready. But he was clean for 14 months when he died. So I'm really proud that he accomplished all that he did in those 14 months.
Thank you.
Okay, one last question for Wendy. It's such a raw loss for you. It hasn't been very long. I know it took me about 4 years to even really speak out about the loss of our son. So what, as a mother, what advice would you give to other mothers who have shared your experience?
I've thought about this one a lot, and I think just don't give up on your kid. Never. There were a lot of times where on one side of my brain, I'd be thinking, it's my baby. I've got to be the tough love mom. But that was my baby.
Right, it's hard.
And you've got to walk in the middle. But after he went through the 3rd rehab, which he did because he wanted it, not because I wanted it, he was on fire for life. He wanted to live. He had plans. He was was like I'd never seen him like that, ever. He started smoking pot when he was probably in 8th grade. We'd had some big things in his life leading up to that. His dad and I divorced when he was 6. I know that was catastrophic for him. There's a lot of addiction in our family, and I talked openly with him about it. And I always felt like I was getting through, but obviously peer pressure. There's a lot of kids that he went to school with that aren't here anymore at Kamiak. I don't know if it's because there's more money that they can spend it on it. I don't know. But my biggest piece of advice, honestly, would be if I could talk to the moms that have their kids coming up at the end of elementary school, and I did say elementary school, because if you've had anything catastrophic happen that you've had to deal with as a child, that's where it starts. At least everyone I've talked to, that's where it starts. Talk to those parents, talk to the middle school parents, and explain to them, make sure you know who your kids are hanging with, make sure you know what they're doing. Talk to them. Don't be shy about this. I talk to everyone I know. I'm not ashamed. My kid was a good kid. He was an amazing person, and I'm going to shout it from the rooftops. He just was such a good person. Sorry. And that's my biggest piece of advice I would give, is stay connected with your kids. I was, but I think I was just a little bit too late, and the peer pressure sometimes was a little bit much. But with that said, not all of his friends went down that path. He knew people from every walk of life. One of his dear friends is with us tonight. I'm so thrilled. Thank you, Jared, for being here. But that's what I would say, is stay connected with your kids and don't ever, ever give up.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wendy, for being here. We are glad to hear your story. We're thankful that you're willing to share your story with it being so raw. I see a lot of people in the audience that are moved to tears because they must have a similar experience right now. And I just want to honor you. And anybody here who has suffered a loss recently, you are seen and you are heard, and we are not alone. We are in this together. So thank you for being here. Okay, so next we have Chrissy and Chrissy's baby. We're excited to hear from Chrissy today, and Kathy and Debbie have a few questions for you. So just make sure it's up to your lips, and if not, throw that puff and toss it.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this. And that's Aya. She would rather be on stage right now. Definitely.
She is adorable. I met her earlier. Okay. I've heard a little bit about your program, and Mike, you're sitting in the audience. I actually saw your program on Q13 this summer, and you were actually one of the first people I mentioned to Lindsay about that we needed to talk to. So thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. What makes your program unique compared to other housing providers? What do you do differently that makes that you've seen make a difference in the short-term housing you provide?
Yes. So Nick's Place is an emergency recovery shelter. So the big difference is most of the clients that we serve might be coming out of detox with 3 or 4 days of sobriety. And let's say they discharge from detox on Friday, but their bed date for inpatient treatment isn't until Tuesday. We will bring them to Nick's Place and they can stay free of charge. So it's an emergency recovery shelter. We call it an EARTH model, E-A-R-T-H.
It's the only one of its kind, by the way.
Well, the diversion center,
Well,
but
that's different.
the only difference is that the diversion center, they have hours, and it's kind of a joke that addiction doesn't stop on weekends and holidays. So Mike and I are 24/7. We'll do intakes anytime, day or night. Yeah, so what was I saying here a second ago? Addicts brain, whatever. So yes, the emergency recovery shelter portion of Nick's Place is however long they need to stay. So they don't have to have cash in hand when they come to Nick's Place. And that formula we call it an EARTH model housing, which is emergency addiction recovery transitional housing. And even though it's real catchy, it's an acronym. I love, the government loves acronyms. This same formula needs to be spread far and wide. We need to have this in every county. This is an emergency recovery shelter. This is where you can't squeeze blood out of a turnip. Have you ever heard that expression? Well, that's our main clientele, a bunch of lovely turnips. But they come to me literally with a shirt on their back. They don't have anything. They don't have any money. They don't, have hygiene or a place to stay. And so after Mike gets them out of detox, if they don't have a safe, clean, and sober environment to stay the course, which is what they fought for. They got into detox because they wanted to save their own lives. Most of their family has disowned them at this point. Their friends are dead. They're really knowing this is a life or death situation. And if it weren't for places like Nick's Place, they would go back to the trap house or go back to whatever toxic environment they were coming from and probably relapse. I think Mike has lost 70 people, 82 people this year in the last 2 years that he's had in his van. So the problem, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this too, is what we're seeing is after the clients have a little bit of sobriety time, if they were to relapse, they're not just relapsing, they're overdosing. And so the desperation that the clients have that come to Nick's Place makes it unique. That's something special. The grace that we offer them, the grace period, and allowing them to stay clean and accountable. It's a balance. It's compassion with accountability, and this is what they're asking for. They need a place to stay sober. They're afraid to go to the hotels. They're afraid to go into the low barrier shelters. They don't feel like they can stay sober there. And if they don't, they know it's life or death. So I think there's a unique desperation and camaraderie when they come to this place. But it's a really great formula. It's not a moneymaker. It's a break even, through the grace of God. We've been able to stay open. It costs about $10,000 a month. I think that these guys are all angels, they're all miracles, and they've got definitely a higher power looking out for them. So I think I rambled. Sorry about that.
No, actually, you led right into the next question, and maybe you can elaborate a little bit more. You said it costs about $10,000. What specifically does that cover? I know in a lot of cases that covers administration, that covers different things. What are you needing that funding for, and for how long? Like how much does it cost you per day or per year?
So that 10,000 is literally overhead. Until a heavenly grant that we got recently from the city of Everett, we weren't staffed at all. We were completely volunteers for the last 11 years. And so the 10,000 is mostly insurance, if you can believe it. For some reason, nobody wants to insure us. So weird. I don't know.
It's like it's a liability.
Whatever. Car insurance, and then fuel. We're driving 8,000 miles a month, getting people into detox. Mike pretty much drives that by himself. He's got one other driver, but he was doing 5,000 miles a month by himself. And what's fuel? Yeah, Mike definitely deserves a round of applause. He's awesome. So fuel, insurance, those are big ones. And then toilet paper for some reason. 18 men. You'll be surprised how much toilet paper these guys go through. And cleaning supply, I don't understand. But yeah, Costco runs once a week, So it's in our rent. So it's all overhead, basically, per month. Yes.
Can I piggyback really
I hope I don't cry. Hold on. This is hard work. This is tough work because you fall in love with the people that you help. And when you lose them, it makes you feel like, is it even worth it to keep going? Feels like you're up against a monster. And I wanted to highlight something. I don't think that you and Mike are making very much money doing what you guys do, and I wanted you to confirm that for this audience so that they know how special you guys really are. It's not about the money. Stop it, Lindsay. It's not about the money. Mike and I, we've been volunteering at this for 11 years because he guilt trips me every day. It's about that guy right there, Cameron, and that one right there. These guys, they were our friends, and they just wanted to use one more time. That one more time. But we do the best we can every day, and we've got some amazing survivors. I'm going to call them survivors. But what they are asking for is clean and sober housing. They have to have the accountability. They're asking for consequences for their actions. And that is a very harsh reality. But if we keep coddling the addiction over and over again, then they'll never hit their bottom. I can't take their pain away. It doesn't do a justice to them or to me. And that's a hard lesson in this work that I have learned, is that they are on their own path. And if they live or if they ascend, they are guardian angels all the way around, because we will all learn lessons from their life. But we can do better as a community, and we can start putting money into recovery housing. And housing is an essential need for all humans. Food, water, shelter, I totally understand that. But we're dealing with a crisis of addiction that trumps, pardon the word, but over the level of just needing basic shelter, okay? So they're asking for the support in their journey of recovery, and to them it's life or death. To them, they're getting their family back, their kids back, a job back. They've lost everything. And it's amazing because the clients that I'm working with are 40 years old, 50 years old, but in 30 days they were able to lose their entire life savings, their car, their but it took them entire life to get to where they were. And I also asked them, which I thought this was very interesting, what you were saying, how old they were when they started using. And the average age is between 12 and 14 years old. So the tweens, they're not little kids, they're not teenagers, not adults. Those are the guys that we need to grab. Those are the ones, the elementary school kids. Those are the ones we need to talk to. When they start dabbling, I ask, what'd you start with? They say, oh, I drank my dad's beer, I started smoking a little weed. But now they're in their 50s, they just got out of prison, their life of incarceration and addiction, so we have to keep communicating about it. Really uncomfortable subjects are the best ones, right? It makes us cry, it makes us say silly things.
Okay, so listening to all this wonderful work that you and Mike are doing, and to hear that you're just volunteering, I mean, that's just incredible. And obviously it takes a lot of money to fund what you're doing. So where, you said you had gotten some money from the city of Everett. Where else do you get your funding from?
Pioneer reimburses us for our mileage. Most of the funding we've gotten is for the transportation program.
Okay, who is Pioneer?
Pioneer is our Pioneer Human Services. Do they have a booth here today? They're detox and treatment centers.
Housing, case management, employment services.
Yes, they're huge. Yeah. Pioneer's huge. They're awesome. Ideal option through the grant programs or the HARPS funding. So when clients get out of detox or treatment, they're eligible for HARPS funding, Scout, LEAD. We can take all the vouchers. So the clients that can contribute to shared living expense for the 90-day program than pay for the clients that cannot, that need the free housing. So it's a balance of a break even, basically.
Okay, so if you got a great big windfall, what would be your top priority for that?
Well, right now, Nick's Place is just a men's shelter. We tried the co-ed thing. It was just not a good idea. I don't know. Yeah. So a women's house is what we would need next. It breaks Mike's heart every day when he gets a young gal out of detox and they don't have any safe place to go. And there's such a housing shortage, but yeah, that would be the next goal, is to get another facility just like Nick's Place, but for women.
Yeah, so 2 questions. What would that cost? And I think if there's anyone in the audience that is wondering what can be done in our community, this is a really a good one.
What do you need?
We need help. We need funding. We need all hands on deck. Yeah. This community, we have to come together. You know, our whole system's in a free fall, which is a fantastic opportunity to rebuild it exactly how we want it to be built. So, you know, if somebody's hungry, feed them. If somebody needs help, help them. Talk to people. Don't isolate. You have to start communicating. Addicts do not do well in isolation. Okay? And these women, I actually think the women are even trickier than the men in some ways, probably because I'm an empath and I cry all the time with their stories, but that would be an all hands on deck. So the funding would be in just outfitting the place itself, doing the bunks and the beds and the, you know, all the accoutrement, but security system, full staffing, 24 hours. You know, both demographics are very vulnerable, but the women especially, we would need to have 24-hour staff. So it's expensive. It would be about $100,000 to get something off the ground, and then at least $10,000 or $20,000 a month. Because right now we're completely volunteer. But if you start adding salaries and the cost of living now in this area, yeah, and real estate, you know, we would only need 4 bedrooms. That's 16 clients plus an extra. But anything more than that's a little bit. You start packing like 30 or 40 women in one spot, I'll tell you what.
Not gonna work.
No.
Okay, well, thank you.
You're very welcome.
I got one last thing to say, and then we're going to move on to Jeffrey, and we're going to shift the energy from sap to sassy. Okay, are you ready? Hope Soldiers will give Courage to Change 50% of what we made from our merch from sales tonight. Thank you. I love you guys. All right, Jeffrey.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not going to cry for you.
Yeah, please don't. Don't cry for me.
It's Jeffrey's birthday, everybody. Please tell him happy birthday.
Thank you.
Will you tell us who you are and where you're from and anything else we should know about you?
I was born in Holland on a rainy night almost 70 years ago. Anyway, I've been a nurse practitioner for over 20 years now, and in the last, been doing emergency medicine for a long time, was a medic in the Army, came up through the RN ranks. So, what I recognized 10 years ago is that people with addiction have a disease. And stigma was killing these people. And I hate stigma. So I made it my mission to break stigma. And if I am a healthcare provider, as a nurse practitioner, I want to define the disease role. So often when a family comes in and I'm prescribing buprenorphine or Suboxone or Vivitrol, they say, well, it's just a substitute. And so MAT, medication-assisted treatment, is chemotherapy for the cancer of addiction. Thank you. Because cancer wants to kill you. So does addiction. And I'm tired of losing another one. And so, anyway, I'm going to make you cry, damn it, because
Don't you do it.
So anyway, that's basically me. My mission is to watch people heal. I get such a fulfilling joy when somebody says, "Hey Jeff, I'm 9 days free." Oh my gosh, that's great. And let's go for 10, let's go for 11, let's go for 4 years free. Let's go for the rest of your life and build back up. So I love we're talking about housing and wraparound services. I think it should be all inclusive. I think education should be a part of the housing. I think medication and treatment should be part of the housing. I think group therapy and working with people that are peers within the house, so they know and they've been in the trenches. Here's the funny thing: most of my patients come in and they go, "Hey Jeff, what was your drug of choice?" And I go, I had none. What the heck? I'm so sorry. I can't be empathetic. I can be compassionate because I wasn't down there in the trenches. And so I've gotten the moniker, I'm their favorite normie doc. So I let that up. Now, we at Conquer have decided also that there are a multiplicity of conditions that are the symptom of addiction and the cancer of addiction. And it's behavioral health, it's adverse childhood events, it's anxiety, it's fear, it's mental health issues. So, what else do you have to ask for me?
Well, you kind of started to go into one of the questions. So it's been a long journey for recovery, housing, and just in general, people to adopt the mindset where they're comfortable with medication-assisted treatment. I'm somebody that used to believe that abstinence was superior to all pathways to recovery. I no longer feel that way, and I'm very outspoken about it now because I've changed my mind about it. I am wondering if you can kind of describe what success would look like when Matt is integrated into recovery housing, so that any recovery housing provider that's here or county and city officials can hear what a successful model might look like from somebody in the medical field and somebody who's very close to this subject.
Well, thank you, Lindsay. Let's just be honest about this. You know, when a person has stable housing and they're not worried about where they're going to sleep, well, they're more likely to take their medication and to help treat the cancer. You know, and so when medication then helps make this housing sustainable, it's a balance. It's one side assists the other side assists the one side, and so you know we have seen there's a ton of research out there over the last 12 years in the American Society of Addiction Medicine. I wish they changed their moniker to the American Society of Recovery Medicine, but they haven't done that yet. So, and I'll probably hear something from somebody, my boss. But it's sustainable. Where you eat, where you clean your bed, where you make your bed and you go learn some things about reintegrating yourself that had been broken, but now it's starting anew. To yes, you take your medicine. Yes, it's your chemo, and it reduces relapse. It supports employment. I cannot tell you how many times on a Saturday throughout the years I've been doing addiction medicine or recovery medicine that let's have a mock interview. You know, you're going to want to go to work, right? And now you're ready, but you don't know how to answer those questions, and it's scary. And so I haven't done it in a long time, probably 8 months, but to have somebody tell me, what do I do? So, and with the stable housing, and Oxford House is a prime example, they've stopped looking at MAT as a substitute. It's just another drug. It's not, it's chemo. Let's heal the person. Let's
heal. And what Suboxone does is a beautiful medication. If anybody, raise your hand who knows Suboxone. Hallelujah. Bless your hearts. Right? It's a partial opiate agonist, so it allows you to function without withdrawal and without cravings. And when the triggers happen to walk in front of you in the bus stop, and it's one of your old buddies that you used to hang out at the trap house with, you go, hey, I just don't want to be a part of that anymore. Hallelujah. Right? Right. Thank you.
All right. So you've touched a little bit on some of these questions, so I'm going to combine the last two together so that we can keep this party going. There's been some rumblings that Mr. Jacob Conker in your guys' organization may be opening a recovery house at some point in time in the future.
Yes, it is a dream. I have a dream. So anyway, what we already are partnering with is Skyland Ranch. Skyland Ranch is in Gold Bar, where men live in a sober community for up to a year, engage in ranch chores, work with animals, work with the horses, build responsibility and life skills, learn to be accepted, continue outpatient treatment directly at the facility, and we deliver the MAT. We work with our patients, psychiatric care, substance use disorder care, treatment, and peer support all together. So that's what we got. So Jacob's next vision is for the ladies. It's called Rafiki House. It's unincorporated in Snohomish County, or in the unincorporated portion of Snohomish County. It's designed and, okay, if there are praying folks out there, pray for my patient today. She needs this, all right? So thank you. And if you're a non-praying person, just keep your good vibes going for my patient. Anyway, it's designed to be a 3-month sober facility, sober house for women in early recovery. And I love what Jacob says, focusing on creating the unforgettable aspect and experiences that recovery can truly bring. It's like being reborn. And so what the 3 months of Rafiki House is designed is to provide, taking from Christy, right, and the emergency housing and transitional phase to a 3-month, very strong, supported MAT program, stabilizing the women for transition into longer term sober housing. Because I think it's a graduated way to go, right? When a person is first in recovery, it's difficult. Everything's new. They've learned for so long how to live on the streets and how to make things work on a fight or flight basis. And now, oh my gosh. So we transition from the emergency. Then we go into a 3-month facility, for especially for women, for right now. And we will definitely provide on-site intensive treatment services to manage the behavioral and mental health aspects of substance use. Are there any questions out there for me?
Yeah, where is that? For women.
It's Rafiki House. We're not quite there yet. We're working it. I will let you know the minute I find out when it's open in stores. But it's in the unincorporated Snohomish County. I don't know the actual address, but I hear Jacob tell me about it. So hallelujah, Jacob. Thanks, Jacob.
Jeffrey, thank you so much for being here, and I love how much we have in common. We're both very spicy and loud. I love that about us.
No.
So last question. Let's keep this one kind of simple. The first thing that comes to mind, what's a policy change or kind of support that you think would help make it easier to open doors faster for the Rafiki House?
For our elected officials to come on board and say, you know what, we got to be compassionate. We're losing people. And people dying ain't what an elected official really wants to put in their resume. So let's change stigma. Let's open compassionate doors. And it's simple. That's simple.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you, Jeffrey. The opioid crisis is a nonpartisan issue, folks. This is not political. This is real life. People are really dying. So thank you so much. Everybody, please thank Jeffrey for being here today with Conquer Clinics. And happy birthday.
Don't sing!
All right. So we are now going to move on to Taylor. And Taylor is my client and friend who I am very, very, very proud of. Taylor has worked very hard to get where she is today and be the mother to her daughter that she is worth. And I am very honored to know you. I am honored to have been part of your journey. I worked with a relative of hers, and she told me the story of Taylor's struggles, and I said, well, I might be able to help. We'll see. And she was skeptical, but I did it, dang it. This is my little success story, Taylor. All right, Taylor, would you introduce yourself and just talk a little bit about your journey? You can talk about anything that you're comfortable with, the services that you've been involved with, and then we'll ask you a couple of questions.
My name is Taylor Madison. I grew up in Snohomish
Hold
County.
it right next to your mouth, honey.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
My name is Taylor Madison. I grew up in Snohomish County, and I moved to Yakima County when I got clean. I went to detox over here and treatment while I was pregnant over here in Ballard, and then I relapsed, right? I went to treatment in Everett as well, and then I relapsed, and I lost my kid. And I very quickly went back to detox and to a long-term inpatient center with my child, and from there decided to stay in Yakima because that was a safer option. I'm very grateful to Hope Soldiers, to the support they provided me, because I would not be clean, I would not have my child, I probably would not be alive without them. Recovery is it's a blessing. You know, I'm very, very grateful every morning to wake up clean and not be a slave to addiction.
Hi, Taylor. We met a couple of years ago when we met with Senator Cantwell and other officials, and I heard your story, and you probably heard mine. I just wanted to ask you, what were your two biggest challenges when you were in sober living or in between, or your journey?
Before I went into sober living, right, when I got out of treatment, I would say that my biggest challenges were waiting for a spot. So I had somewhere to go. I went to an emergency shelter, which was free, thank God, right, because I didn't have any money in my name. But I had to wait for almost 3 months to be able to go into a transitional house. And when I went into that transitional house, right, I'm fresh out of treatment, they wanted $750 to move in. Oh, use your TANF, right, because I was on government assistance. But I had just gotten TANF, right, so I didn't have that much money. So how am I supposed to move into somewhere when I don't have any money, you know, and I've been somewhere for months, right, and these are where the supportive services come in, you know. Hope Soldiers help pay for that, so that way I had somewhere to go.
So how else did you get money for your rent? I mean, were you working at the time, or how were you paying for?
So I was on government assistance, right, so I did receive TANF to be able to cover, help pay for my rent, right, after I got into the house. But that first objective of like moving in, right, that was more money than I had, more money than I had time to save. Once I was in the transitional house, my case manager was able to help me apply for grants and funding to help pay for my rent. Those had their own challenges like later on,
Yeah,
but the grants were helpful.
So you did receive some grants?
Yes, yeah. I can't remember what grant it was now, but when I first moved in, My case manager had me apply for 2 different grants, and one of them was like over $1,000, right? So that paid my rent the entire time I was in the transitional house. I think I was there for 7 months, 8 months.
So it sounds like you've had to jump through a lot of hoops to stay stabilized in your recovery.
Yeah. Consistent hoops. Yeah. And hoops that on my own, right? Being someone who was in active addiction for over 10 years, right? And I had no idea, no clue on where to even start on how to navigate these hoops, right? It took people like you, people, like my case manager from the transitional house, people who genuinely cared, right? Not about filling a slot, right? But about my life, to help teach me and direct me on how to navigate all these hoops.
What are you most grateful for about your experience with recovery housing in general? What do you find that has been the biggest takeaway for you?
I think one thing I kept thinking about, right, listening to all the people here talk, what about the kids? What about the kids? Right, we want emergency shelters for women. We have some emergency shelters for men, but the place I went to in Yakima was still is the only family shelter. And so I think I'm most grateful that I had a structured roof over my head where I was allowed to have my child. It gave me accountability, and it helped teach me how to live again. And it gave me time, right, to be able to take parenting classes and learn how to be a grown-up and be a mother, and how to take care of myself again. There were consequences for inaction, and clear expectations. I just want to say thank you so much for being here, for coming all the way down and being part of this event, and for always being willing to come with me and tell your story, because I think it's really important, and I think what you've been through is important, and what you've done is very important. You are such a blessing to my life. I'm so thankful for who you are. And I just want to give everybody a chance to celebrate you and all that you've accomplished today. So will you please join me? Thank you. All right, Amy, we're going to pick on you. That's fine. I'll make it quick. So if you guys haven't noticed, this is the first year that Dave Summers, our county executive, couldn't be with us today, but we are super thankful for his partnership and support over the years. And so we have Amy here today to sort of represent the county side. And we're just going to ask some questions, and I'm crossing some off because we're going to run through the rest of this quickly because it's starting to get cold. So you guys can start, and then I'll ask the last one. And then we will wrap up. I know. Seriously. It's because Jeffrey rambled. So, where's that pen? Yeah, right here, Look up. Right here. Yeah.
Sorry.
You're good.
I cannot see anymore. I'm of that experienced age now. Okay. Amy, what are the biggest challenges you see from your side in connecting individuals struggling with substance abuse to recovery housing?
So first, I just want to make it clear that I am not representing the whole county. I am the opioid outreach specialist, part of the Scout team, and so with the small portion that I do get to represent, I do get to work with individuals and work with putting them into housing. And I think one of the biggest things that are missing, especially in our county, is that everybody has a special circumstance. Everybody comes from a different place, and there are different needs for every single person. And there are different houses that are out there that we don't have enough housing, right? Like that's the biggest issue in my world. Being able to find a good fit. Finding a house that, working with someone who's struggling with mental health, and substance use disorder. How do we manage both of those? And being able to support landlords and support people as they're going through that process. Don't forget the microphone.
The microphone.
I could answer any question. Right up close, Gabby or Debbie.
If you had to pick one policy change or county investment to prioritize, what would it be?
Well, I have a list, but
We've got a list.
I think going back to what Chrissy said, talking about the young ages, right? Prevention. Like, we talk so much about what we're doing now and all the needs that everyone has, and they're all valid, but we need to start with prevention at the young ages, and especially with kids and people who are parents and have children. We need to talk about this, and again, through that, bust through that stigma.
So is the county doing any of that right now?
So the role that I play, that's not something that I work with. I know that we work with the health department. There's a lot through the health department that is being done. Prevention in regards to what I would see as big picture. I don't think anyone in our nation is doing it the way that it needs to be done. So
Thank you so much. All right, we're gonna actually just ask you one last question and make it easy for you. So a lot of people, you heard from Taylor tonight talk about what a struggle it was for rental assistance and funding to be able to get in somewhere. When you get out of treatment, you don't have $750 a deposit and a first month's rent to get in somewhere.
Right.
So how does somebody get in there? And what is something that you guys offer through the Scout program or Human Services in general that our community can be aware of so that they know that there is funding available?
So it's a great question, and unfortunately, there's been so much change that it's been fluctuating a lot. But what I am very proud of and thankful being part of the Scout team is that we are able to work with people and help them get into housing and start that process after they complete treatment. So I'm very thankful. I feel very blessed that I get to work with people, start at the beginning and walk through that whole process and help them get to a safe, solid place that they can be and continue that process.
Thank you so much. And I just wanted to mention that Amy was my first point of contact for Taylor, and they happened to be sitting together next to each other, and I just think that's so precious. Will you guys please help me in thanking Amy and every single panelist here today? We're so grateful. Before we end tonight, I wanted to take a second to also recognize that we are not just here in partnership with Snohomish County government, but we also like to partner with the city of Everett. We are, in fact, in the city of Everett. And there's been a lot of initiatives that have taken place and are going to take place. And since we're talking about recovery housing tonight, there is something coming down the pipe from the city of Everett. And since Mayor Franklin's here, I'm going to have her come here and I'm going to put her on the spot. And she is going to highlight some of those great things coming so that we can give you some hope for the future.
Thank you. I'll talk really close. First, thank you, Lindsay, Kathy, Debbie. Thank you for hosting this. This is the 9th year. Thank you so much for bringing this amazing group of people together who all care about addiction and recovery and helping our community. So thank you very much. I care deeply about this topic. I just want to share just a couple personal things. My mom was 19 years sober before she passed away, and my younger brother is sadly still in the throes of addiction, in and out of jail and in and out of recovery. So I feel your pain, and I am so proud of so many of the folks for their success. My experiences aren't unique. All of you here, you have had those experiences, and so I really just want to thank all of you and your friends and family for being here and supporting this work. For many years, the city of Everett has been working. Nick's Place is amazing. We need like 18,000 of Nick's Places across the country, not only for men, but for women and for families. The city cares about this. We have done a lot with our Community Alternative Response Program, our Emote, in partnership with Concord Clinics. Thank you, Jeffrey, for your work, but we need housing. I was fortunate enough to have Lindsay on our drug task force, and that group brought recommendations to me. First and foremost was the importance of recovery housing, and that is exactly what I've seen with my younger brother. People don't need just a roof over their head. They need all of the services and that accountability that we were talking about. That is what you need to get recovery. And so the City of Everett, through the work of that task force, recognizes that, and we have put recovery housing as a priority in our housing action plan. I got to look at my notes because I'll mess it up. It's a critical component of our housing action plan. It's also a part of our comprehensive plan. Recovery housing is one of the main strategies that we are going to be working forward. All of our council recognizes the importance of this, and all of the staff that are part of the city. I also see Mary Jane up there. Thank you for your work in the county. You're a hero, you're an angel. So we will be working on this, but what we need to do this successfully is funding. And so the City of Everett and the county can't do this alone. We will be advocating to the county, we will be advocating to the state, and obviously to our federal partners to continue to support this work, because we have made a lot of strides in some of this work, but recovery housing is an essential piece of that puzzle. It's part of our plan, and we're going to be making it happen. So thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you so much, Mayor Franklin. We really appreciate it. Are there any questions from the audience for any of our panelists here tonight, including Debbie, Kathy, and myself? Is there anybody that wants to ask anything before we conclude this event tonight? I'm happy to bring a microphone if anybody has any questions. If you have a question specifically around recovery housing, any of the programs that we... Okay, I'm coming, girl. Raising money for the Chicks House. Send me a message. We'll get us all connected, and we'll see how we can rally together. Does that work?
Tell the county to give us one of the hotels.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's remediate it first, though. Maybe, probably, you know.
Something smaller. Okay.
Probably stinks and stuff. So let's fix it up a little bit. Anybody else? Does anybody else have any questions? Yes, let me run up to you. I'm coming.
Here's Nancy, like Oprah.
70,000 stairs later.
Hi, my name's Frank, and I'm in recovery here now, 45 days clean. Thank you. So I just like to say, so this revolves around, for me, structured day is what I need for me right now. And I'm having problems finding that. So I think that's what you guys are aiming to do, is to help structure day. And for me, that's hard to find. So I hope that's what we're going towards, because I know I need a structured day, and I'm just trying to figure it out. And it's hard to figure out by myself. So I think there needs to be some kind of, I don't know where to go yet to do that. I mean, I guess I'm a big boy, I gotta do it myself. But I'd like help doing that. So I'm still searching for that. If anybody got anything they can tell me or lead me to where I can get some kind of counseling, get a structured day going on. You know, like, what am I gonna do this day? What am I gonna do this day? What am I gonna do this day? Because when you got treatment, I went to ABHS, and that's weird. We're grinding. Now I'm out here, and I'm like, whoop. And I can't work out 24 hours a day, but I can. But that's, you know. So I'm just trying to ask you what do you think about that. So forth. Thank you.
So for one, I think our friend here is asking for support. We still have some community members here that I know will approach you as soon as this event concludes. But does anybody on the panel want to talk about like the importance of structure? Maybe Chrissy, do you want to just speak really quick to like what Nick's Place does, even though it's short term, what it is about structure that matters? And maybe, is there an opportunity for our friend right here to get plugged in with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Our booth is gone, but Mike's sitting right here. He's got some business cards on him, so definitely grab one of those. Nick's Place is really about community with the guys living together. They care about each other. They care about their own sobriety, but they're actually looking out for one another, you know, and we're not terribly structured as far as this is what you do every day, but we do encourage the clients to go out and get a sponsor first, get a home group first, you know, get plugged in with the recovery community, because that is really going to be your saving grace no matter where you go. And so, are you living in a clean and sober house now? Okay. And so, do you have a home group? Do you have a sponsor? Are you hitting those? Okay, do it tonight. What time is it? There's another meeting tonight. All right. Anybody willing to sponsor this gentleman?
Yeah.
And that's how it's done. Right on. Keep doing that. Keep reaching out, asking for help. That is how you do it.
Thank you so much. Is there anybody else that has any other questions tonight? Shout out? Shout out to who? Shout out to the Scout program, Amy, and all your partners. You guys rock. That's your row right there.
Thanks, guys and gals.
Hi there, my name is Dio, and my question is towards Chrissy and Mike for Nick's Place. How did you two get started working, servicing the clients there in Nick's Place? Would you be able to talk about that a little bit more?
Well, Mike and I were both sitting on another board, and we decided to start Courage to Change Housing. And then when the pandemic started, we lost our lease and we started just doing transportation. So Mike was driving from, the border all the way down to Chehalis to try to find an open bed because everybody had COVID. This COVID thing was happening, was just crazy. So 5,000 miles a month trying to find some place for these people to go. And the problem was he was noticing that they didn't have a safe place after detox. And so that's where this interim recovery housing began, was because of the needs that he saw with the clients that he was transporting. So Courage to Change started with housing and then transitioned to just transportation. But the transportation to detox and treatment, it sounds simple enough. But if you think about putting somebody in your vehicle and driving them an hour and a half while they're detoxing from fentanyl or methamphetamines, it's a very toxic situation. It's very volatile. Mike also has 25 years of sobriety, and so he is 12-stepping them in the vehicle while they're driving. And so a peer-to-peer communication when it comes to addicts talking to other addicts is really important. And then logistics. So not all the detox centers will accept certain people. You can't be on benzos. You can't be on a certain amount of methadone. So there's different caveats. And so over the years, we've developed kind of a formula for aggregation of how to get somebody into detox efficiently to the right detox facility. Are they a woman? Are they pregnant? And sometimes the fun thing is the drugs are so exciting now that some of the clients don't even know what's in their system. When they show up at the detox facility, they're surprised. They said, no, I only did meth, and they've got, you name it. You guys, I'm sure you can fill in the blanks of everything that you could possibly have taken. But so those are the types of challenges that just transporting someone from the streets to detox. That there's a lot more involved, and Mike has his expertise, and so we also have a training program for volunteers that want to help drive for us. But there is a training, and there's how to Narcan somebody, CPR. What happens if someone goes into psychosis? Mike's had somebody grab the steering wheel because they saw a pink elephant in the road, and they were on the freeway. So I really think that Mike Kiersey is a superhero for what he does. He's pretty amazing. And if I say any more, he's going to cry, so I'm going to stop.
Thank you. Jackson, will you give that guy in the Crocodile Dundee hat whatever he wants, whatever kind of hoodie or sweatshirt he wants, please? Thank you. That's a dope-ass hat. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Any last questions for our panel?
Yeah, well, we're going to end it here. We're just down to 2%. And so,
hi, my name is Jeff, and a couple of years back, I was using drugs and I was so sick living on the street. I checked myself into Smoky Point Behavioral Health, and I was assigned a substance use disorder counselor. and I wanted to go to inpatient treatment, and he set up an interview with me to speak with intake at Olala Treatment Center, and I told him that basically I was killing myself using drugs, and I guess there was some kind of limit or something that I was below. I wasn't using enough drugs in their mind. They did not accept me into treatment because apparently I wasn't using enough drugs. And I guess my question is, are all treatment centers the same?
How long ago was that? Okay, I can take that. So that is one of the issues that we have with both state-funded treatment centers and private insurance taking treatment centers. There's some weird deal where if you don't have drugs in your system, they'll kick you out. Because I really don't know why, to be honest with you, but I think it all comes down to money and greed, and I'm just going to be transparent about that. I've had a lot of clients that I've put in treatment that I've had to tell they have to use before they go in, even if they've been clean for a week, because they'll kick them out after they take a UA and they're clean. And it's really dangerous, and it's unfortunate that it has to be that way. And it's one of the things that I've made a lot of noise about to the Healthcare Authority for Washington State. And we're going to try to continue to make some headway there, but so far it is an issue that's very lightly talked about. But one person that is talking about it, that is in Washington State Legislature, is Representative Lauren Davis of the 32nd District in Linwood. She talks about this all the time. She recently lost somebody that she loved and fought for and advocated for years and years and years, and is the entire foundation of the work that she does because of these.
To have somebody that is there with them, even if it's not someone that they feel comfortable turning to that can be with them in person. So, y'all, the number is 800-484-3731. And then there's another number as well in case all of those operators are busy, and it is 877-696-1996. I'm going to repeat them both.